ERIKATESLA here. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's video. If you are returning, I'm so glad to have you back. And if you're new, thank you so much for deciding to click on this video. It's so good to have you here. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about 19 palettes that I have used or will use, plan to use for the fall season. And some of these, I have used, and some are new to me, but I'm really excited to have them in rotation for the autumn season. I am not going to be showing my face for most of the video just because I really want to show you why I like these palettes so much, or why I'm so excited to have them in my collection and be able to access them. So hopefully that's okay with you. But before we get started with that, I do want to talk a little bit about what's on my eyes today, which is the Paleo palette from CLIONADH. So this is one of the palettes that I will be talking about. I did film this look. I'm going to be posting some short form content with a little demo of the look that I have on, and I think that this is really, really beautiful. So I'm really excited to talk to you guys about this palette as well as some other goodies that I have in my collection. So grab a snack, hang out, and let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to go ahead and start with a couple of Adept palettes. I have the Flying Fiddles palette and the Unity palette. Now, Flying Fiddles came out sometime last year, and Unity is the newest palette. So let's go ahead and open up Flying Fiddles, and you can see why this is such a beautiful fall color story, guys. You have plenty of neutral shades in this palette, and the shimmers in this are stunning. For example, look at this shade. We have the shade Blue Crown. That is so pretty. And if you wanted to do kind of something sultrier and smokier with this shade Green Kelly here, like that combo could be so, so beautiful. So I thought this was definitely a great one to pull out for the fall. And then next up we have the Unity palette. I just posted a video on this one, guys, so I have swatches, I have a couple of looks with this one, and it's like more of a romantic fall style palette. I did have a subscriber say that this evoked spring vibes, and I can totally see that as well. So this is a really beautiful palette for fall and other seasons as well. The next brand I'm going to talk about, guys, is Alter Ego, and what I like about this brand is that it is on the affordable side. So if you are looking for something that's going to give you a fall look at a pocket-friendly price point, this is it. So we have the Daylight palette, which is newer. This one I've heard is a dupe for the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude, I believe. It's a dupe for something. I actually thought this one kind of reminded me a little bit of the new Urban Decay palette as well. It's just got a lot of these neutral mattes and shimmers, and I do have a video with this palette as well, guys, that I will link down below if you wanted to see a look with this. But it's really, really nice. And one of the points that I made in that video was that with neutral palettes, you can kind of get away with a less pricey formula in terms of creating a really nice neutral look. And then next up we have Wildwood. This one came out earlier this year. This is a dupe for the Yucca palette, the Natasha Denona Yucca palette. And I like this one as well. I really love this shade Zest here. I really love shades like this. Again, it's another very affordable option, and I like the mattes in here. It doesn't have this soft, creamy, putty formula that was in, I think, the Mystique palette. So I like this one. I felt like it performed really, really well, and this is definitely one that will get you some beautiful fall looks. Next up, I have some palettes from CLIONADH. They recently released, or I should say re-released, these palettes. At one point, CLIONADH did have palettes before they shifted mostly to singles. Today, I am actually wearing Paleo. This is such a stunning palette. I love that it obviously has those kind of like fall, it has those fall tones like Tectonic, Epic, and Magma here, but you also have some blues, and I think blues can evoke fall and autumnal vibes as well. It's a really beautiful palette, and the pans are magnetic, so you can pop these out if you want to and switch them out with shades from, for example, the Archeo palette, which is also a really beautiful palette for fall. I think this is definitely one with this green shade Lichen here that to me gives me some fall vibes. It is a little bit more mid-tone, I would say, than the Paleo palette. This is probably the deepest shade in the palette, but you have these really gorgeous shimmers, and you could definitely achieve a fall kind of golden look in here, and the shades are really, really pretty. So yeah, I would say these two palettes from the recent CLIONADH palette launch are the most fallish to me. Oceano, when I look at it, it is pretty, but it to me is a bit more summery. Next up, I have the Donnie Darkowitz Little Miss She Never Misses Eye and Face palette, and I will say it definitely serves as both. I am obsessed with this shade this orange right here as a blush. It is a stunning blush shade, but this definitely has the depth to it, in my opinion, to serve as a fall palette. The only thing with this one, I did feel like the shade Goblet of Fire is really similar to Cowboy Country. But other than that, I really do like this palette. And of course, Blend Bunny's formula is stunning. And if you go to Taj Reed's Instagram and her socials, she has some incredible looks with this palette that are definitely very inspiring, but this is definitely one that I will be pulling out for the fall. Next up, my friends, I have a couple of ColourPop recommendations for you. That's just the puppy shaking in the background. We have the Golden Hour palette. Now, I did receive this in PR, and this one was not on my radar initially. I did a look with this palette, and you could see that this is definitely like warm leaning neutrals. I'm obsessed with this shade Glimmer here. It's so pretty. I'm just going to swatch it for you really quickly because it doesn't look all that exciting in the pan, but when you swatch it, it's like this really beautiful golden shimmer shade. I love shades like this for an inner corner highlight. It just really lifts your eye and brightens it. And then we have this shade Golden Waves. In the pan, it almost looks like a glitter formula, but it's just like really, really shiny. And I'm going to swatch those two for you so you can see how pretty those are. So I think Golden Hour is just such a pretty palette, and it is definitely in the more affordable price range as far as palettes go. And ColourPop has been having a lot of sales lately, so I would definitely recommend checking this one out on sale. Or if you know of a content creator with a code, definitely use their code and save a little money on this one. Or I did see this one in Ulta as well, so if you have some points, this is a very affordable fall palette that I think is really, really stunning. Now, Precious Metals, this is one that I did pick up on my own when it came out, and I might have mentioned this in another video, but I really like this one. I think there's a lot of versatility here. You have a matte black, you have some deep matte brown shades leaning from cool to warm here, and I like that the palette really is divided up into a cool side and a warm side. And this palette retails for $35. You get 30 shades, and that's before it even goes on sale or you can apply any codes. So this is a really, in my opinion, great value. It's a palette that I think would be flattering on so many skin tones because you have, again, from cool to warm or vice versa, and then from lighter to deeper shades. So this is an incredibly versatile and smart palette, and I would definitely recommend this one and pulling this out for the fall. Now the next brand I'm going to pull out for you guys, I have the newer, not the newest, but newer releases from Cosmic Beauty. They do have another green palette that I have seen some of my favorite content creators talk about, and that one's not available to me yet. I think I'm going to pick that one up, but in the interim, they did release these two palettes, Neutrals and Cooltrals. So let's take a look at Neutrals. As you can see, a warmer color story here. You have these warmer nude shades here, and it's nude but interesting. Like, it is definitely not a boring nude palette because you have some pops of color here. And I mean, look at that shade. Like, that's just kind of like a fiery shimmer. It has a little bit of a duochrome shift to it. This is the shade Desire. Then you have this shade Glitz here, which is absolutely stunning. I think this is a really, really beautiful palette. And again, you have some deeper shades here that you can use to ground the look. So a really beautiful palette for fall. Then we have Cool Trolls here, which I am so in love with cool tones this year, guys. I'm such a big fan of them. Look at this really intense shimmer shade. I feel like this is going to be a really beautiful palette for fall into winter. Like, I feel like I'll probably wear this like November into December, and it just really is super stunning. And I'm going to actually pull out another shade. Like, Cosmic Beauty, they just have incredible formulas. And again, it is a more affordable price point. Now, these do ship from the UK, so you might be waiting a little bit to receive them depending on where you are living, but I do think that these are worth it if you have access to them. I've enjoyed my Cosmic Brushes palettes. I have a few palettes from Nomad. So with these palettes, I have one that I've used, and a couple that I just got that I am really excited to use for the fall. But first up, I want to talk about the Fuji 5 Lakes palette. I do have a video and a lookup with this palette. This one, I am actually a really big fan of this color story. I really do like the red shades in here. I like the yellow shades in here, and I like these cool tone blues as well. And the shimmers in here are really, really stunning. And I personally feel very specially connected to this palette because I did have the opportunity and the privilege to visit Japan earlier this year, which I talk about in my video with this palette. But it's just a really pretty palette, and I have to say I've been really impressed with Nomad. They did send me this palette, and I'm so grateful that they did. I really have been enjoying this one, and I appreciate that. And with that being said, I did pick up their re-release of the Ghost Town USA palette and the Haunted Europe palette. And I'm going to talk quickly about Haunted Europe because I think Haunted Europe came out first. So these are fresh, guys. I haven't used these yet. So if you've had any experience or you have used either of these palettes, definitely let me know your experience, if there's one that's a favorite for you that you really enjoy. But I saw that they were launching these, or relaunching these rather, and there is a bundle deal. So if you buy both, you could get 20% off the bundle deal. Or if you wanted to buy one, you could use a code. Definitely feel free to use my code if you want to save money on one of the palettes. But anyway, getting back to the Haunted Europe palette, I think this is a really beautiful color story. I saw that this was a very popular palette when it came out, and I think at the time I had some other palettes that I was really interested in. So I'm really glad that they came back out with this. But as you can see, you have a combination of colorful, maybe like slightly brighter shades here, but you have shades with some depth here to help ground the look. And of course, this is really cool. Like, the cover art is really, really, really neat. I really like that. And then they hopped across the pond to the USA and brought us this color story. And I have to say, between the two, I wanted to try both, but I feel like Ghost Town USA is going to be more my cup of tea. I really like cool tones, and I would say that this is definitely more of a cool tone palette. So I'm really excited to try this out. There's some stunning, stunning shades in here, and I could see why, just from the visual of this palette, why it's super popular. So I'm really excited to pull these out for the fall. Now, guys, getting into a little bit of luxury. This is a palette that I like to bring out in the fall every year. This is Mothership 5. This is Midnight Sun from Pat McGrath Labs, and I've had this one for a while and I really like this palette. I do feel like this is a classic. I feel like this palette is a classic. I feel like this one is interesting because I feel like people either really love this one or they just don't know what to do with it. Like I have seen the full spectrum of opinions on this palette, but I personally really like it because you have these, again, deeper matte shades, which for me are something I really like when I'm building a look. And then of course she has the special shades in here. So I'm gonna just show you guys because I know a lot of people have been a little frustrated with the brand, but if you have these like classic pat palettes, like there's a reason why you have a hard time not enjoying these, because these shades are really, really stunning and my swatches are not doing them justice. Let's see if I can get you focused a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. These shades look amazing on the eye. They look amazing on the eye. And this one's a little chunkier. However, when you tap that on and smooth it out onto the lid, you just get this really beautiful shimmer. And so this is one that I really like to pull out for the fall. And again, look at this deep green shade. That to me, like, look at that mossy green. Like you could just build that up and smoke that out and it would just look absolutely stunning. You could do a one and done and just have a really gorgeous look. So had to talk about my Pat McGrath. For my OGs out there, as you may or may not be aware, Urban Decay re-released its Naked, original Naked palette. And this brought back all the feels. Now I have seen a couple of comparison videos where it's shown that the original palette, for people who still have it, they actually do prefer the original formula. However, if you don't have that and you still really enjoy this color story and you just enjoy, honestly, the ease of use that this palette affords, I would say that this is a great one for fall. It's really, honestly, dummy proof. Like you don't have to work that hard to get a look that's nice. You could pick a shade, literally pick a shade, put on some mascara, liner if you like that, and then you're done. And I have always really enjoyed the matte shades in Naked. I was really obsessed at one point with the original Naked Basics palette. I don't think that that's available. I wish they would bring that back because these matte shades, this got me through all of 2013. Okay, that this was my jam. These shades here, Virgin, Naked, Buck. Buck is like a classic. This is, you know, it's still a beautiful palette. Like even if you, like, look at that. So that's Sidecar, Smog, Half Baked. Like these are just really easy to figure out colors. And I think that's why this was such a popular palette, because it just made eyeshadow simple and chic and just really, really beautiful. And if you're into the deeper shades, like you have Gunmetal here, which is like a nice, like this is such a great shade to do something smoky with. So I think that this is a great one to bring out for your fall and your winter looks. And then I'm going to close out with some Viseart. Okay, so Viseart did gift me a couple of these. I think I bought one of them myself. I bought Mink Set myself. So I have the Neutral Mattes 25th Anniversary Edition, and I have Bijou Zette, which they gifted me, and then I have Mink Set. So let's talk about Neutral Mattes. I have a look with this, guys, that is a smoky look. Now, this is $80, so she is not cheap. So if you are not like a makeup artist, like you don't necessarily have to have this one, but what's cool about this is like you can do cool stuff like this with it. You can just set it up like that. This actually comes out, but I want to keep the paper with it, but it's just really neat because you can play around with the configuration, and this comes out completely, like this detaches completely. And what's nice about this is that this is multi-use. I mean, you can use this for contouring and all sorts of other things. So it's not necessarily just for eye looks. Like you could definitely use this on the face as well. But it comes in this really cool sustainable packaging. So I'm going to put this back like this. Now, if you like this color story, but you are not in need of this particular packaging and you don't want to pay the price point, the one in the Slim Pro packaging, I think, is or was on sale for like half price. Viseart is always having crazy sales, guys. So make sure that you check out their website. I do have a code with them, Erika10, that you can usually stack with the sales as well. So definitely go check it out because you can get neutral mattes in the regular packaging for like half the price. Obviously, this is a celebratory edition item, so I think that's what factors into the cost plus the special packaging. But this is an excellent palette for fall and honestly year-round. I love all matte looks and this is incredible. This is a palette that is for any and everyone, and that's why Viseart is so popular with makeup artists because they just do incredible formulas. So moving on to the Ming Set Étendue. Okay, it was really hard to narrow down some of my Viseart favorites for fall, but I really think that this is a really good option because look at this color story. This is warm, it's chic, it's very cozy, and it's not too complicated. And again, you've got the mattes here. You've got 5 matte shades in the palette to accompany the 7 shimmers in here. And look at this beautiful coppery shade. Like, look at that, like that kind of orange shade. And then you've got this rusty color right here, and then a little bit more bronze. So you can just do some really gorgeous, like warm looks, and you can smoke it up or you can keep it really light as well. Okay, so we have some highlighter shades here as well. It's just a really versatile palette, and per usual, the pans are magnetic, so you can pop these out and play around with customizing your palette if you really want to. But I really do like this color story as is. Last but not least, Bijouzette. So stunning. Okay, if you like jewel tones, hello. This palette is really gorgeous, and I'm gonna swatch the bottom 4 shades here. Maybe we'll end up with the whole one. Look at that. You know, I think sometimes I hear people say Viseart doesn't have like the most interesting color stories or that they're repetitive. And to an extent, they do have some palettes that are really close to each other, but they do have some really vibrant colors and color stories in their lineup. And Bijouzette is one of them. It's like the perfect like deep jewel tone palette. And if you have melanated skin and you want to try something from Viseart, like I would say this is the palette to start with. Like, let's look at this color right here. Like, look at that. Do you see that? And then I got to do this one. I got to touch this one for you guys so you can see. Look at that. Look how rich that is. So if you wanted to do like a bejeweled look with these shades, they're very like creamy and smooth. And then again, you have some mattes in here to help ground the palette. I can't help it. See, I'm over here, I'm swatching like every shade in the palette, and I wasn't planning to do that, but look at that. So definitely Bijouzette is one of my all-time favorite Viseart palettes for the fact that it's rich. It's a very rich color story. It's melanin friendly, and it's just interesting. It's a really interesting palette. It packs a lot of punch. Like, you could just absolutely do like the most gorgeous like blue look with it. You can get peacock with it, whatever you want to do. It's a beautiful palette, and I would definitely recommend this for the fall. I love it. Okay guys, I'm back with my face, and hopefully that was fun for you guys to just take a look at the palettes that I have in my collection that I'm planning to use this fall. Let me know which ones are your favorites, if you have any favorites, or if you have any recommendations. I will say that this grouping is by no means exhaustive, and I inadvertently landed on 19 palettes. Like, I really didn't count out or have a specific number in mind. I just was thinking about palettes that I definitely see myself reaching for the fall. However, Again, there's so many good products out there. So if I missed something that you think I should have had my eye on, please don't hesitate to let me know in the comments. Or if there was a palette here that's not your favorite, I'm okay with hearing about that as well. I love hearing from you guys in the comments. It makes my day to be able to respond to you guys and hear your thoughts. It's a lot of fun for me. With that being said, please like this video if you enjoy content like this, and be sure to subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out, and I love having you guys be a part of my little corner of the internet where we chat about makeup. It's chill over here. We're having a good time, I think. Thank you again for taking time out of your day to hang out with me. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.